Hey, what's up, everybody? It's the Dark Soldier here, and just wanted to talk to you about something that has been requested from longtime subscribers of my page, and also people who are interested in the subject. And I haven't talked about it in a long time, so I figured I'd talk about it now, and it would really help out a lot of people on this earth. And we're here to talk about healing, how to heal naturally from ruptured disc, herniated disc, bulging disc, and scoliosis. We're, we're here to learn how to heal from all of that: bulging disc, herniated disc, ruptured disc, and scoliosis. Now, I had all of those at one point, and I completely healed from it. And here to tell you about it. So, to start the story off, um, to start the story off, um, around the time I was 14 years old, I was on varsity football, and I was playing really good on varsity football, and I was hitting everybody, and the coach thought it would be okay if I hit the biggest guy on the team at that point, because I was hitting everyone at that point. And I was pretty big for my age. I was about 5'9", 14 years old. I just turned 14, so I was pretty big. And I wasn't huge, but I was big for my age, 5'9", 14 years old. Just turned 14, so like 13 years old, 14, 5'9". And I hit this guy that was like 6'4", like 350 pounds. And after I hit him, I um, I was seriously hurt. Just to save a long story short, I couldn't move. I couldn't move. I thought I was paralyzed. I hit him head first with the hit, and it was a stupid hit. When I think of it today, it was just really stupid. I led head first with the hit because he was so big. I didn't know what to do, and I couldn't move. I walked back to the line to hit again, and I just collapsed on the floor, which that's never happened. And then I couldn't move from there. And then after about a couple minutes, I was able to wiggle my fingers and wiggle my toes, and they dragged me off the field. And then I was dragged to my mom's car. Um, I was dragged to my room in my bed, and I laid in my bed for over a week. And my parents always said, if you're injured for more than a week, then we'll bring you to the doctors to see if you're seriously injured. So after about a week of laying in bed, I couldn't poop, I couldn't pee, um, I could barely, I couldn't turn my head, I couldn't turn my back or anything like that. Couldn't poop, couldn't pee. It took me hours to poop and pee. Um, I was getting sick because I wasn't pooping and peeing. Um, I went to the doctors, and long story short, they did an MRI on me, and I had 3 ruptured discs. I had multiple herniated discs, and I had multiple bulging discs, and I also had severe scoliosis. All at 14 years old from a hit in football. And I was perfectly healthy before this. So it all came from a hit in football. And so I had 3 ruptured discs, multiple herniated discs, multiple bulging discs, and severe scoliosis, all from a hit in football. So after that, they wanted to prescribe me painkillers. They said you could get painkillers anytime you want. And they said they wanted to fuse my spine together, which I took the painkillers and I refused the spinal fusion. They said that I could die at any moment. They said I could die from being hit too hard. Um, they said I could be paralyzed at any moment if I'm hit too hard or my spine goes out of place. They told me I would die by the time I was 28. The doctor told me I would be dead by the time I was 28 from a lactic buildup. The doctor said I had the worst back that he'd ever seen. They said I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was 24 or 22. They said I would be in a wheelchair around 22, 24 years old because I wouldn't be able to move. And he was right for the most part about a lot of things. He was right for the most part about a lot of things. I stopped growing. I stayed 5'9" for the rest of my life, you know? So it was a big change. The amount of pain that I could tell you I was in from the ruptured disc and the herniated disc, especially the ruptured disc, is unbelievable. Unbelievable amount of pain. I couldn't turn my head like this. I couldn't turn my head. Couldn't turn like this. Couldn't turn my back. Took me hours to go pee. Took me hours to go poop. Couldn't watch TV. Couldn't play video games. Couldn't do anything. Couldn't read. Couldn't sit there in peace. I could barely sleep. And this went on for years. Because this is a lifelong injury. You don't get better from this. So I could barely sleep. I would, like, my sleep for the years that I was injured, I would lay down at night. That's what I called it. And I would maybe drift out of that in and out stage of sleep for about an hour. And that was about the time that I would get up from sleeping or from laying down in bed. So that was my sleeping for years. I had to work a full-time job. I would fall down at my job. I had to request that I had to go home early sometimes. People didn't know what was wrong with me. There's no GoFundMe page for kids that have severe spinal problems. There's no GoFundMe page. There's no, like how there's for cancer projects and like for people with certain diseases and everything like that. For kids that get serious spinal injuries, there's not that much that people do for them, especially like herniated disc, ruptured disc. Maybe there is now, but in the early 2000s, there was nothing. There was absolutely nothing. So I was an all-star football player for South Florida. I was one of the best linebackers and defensive ends in football in all of South Florida and all of Florida and all the United States at that point. So I was one of the best for my age. I was a very good soccer player. People said I was going to play in the Olympics in soccer. I was a very good swimmer. I was pretty good at a lot of sports. Basketball, I was terrible. But football, soccer, swimming, I was pretty much unbelievable in. I was really good. So all that went down the drain. I was in a lot of pain. Every time I looked up a video on how to heal this injury or how to get better from it, there was nothing on the internet, almost like how there is now. There was nothing back then on the internet on how to heal herniated disc or ruptured disc or bulging disc. Now there's videos on how to alleviate the pain or how to make the pain make the pain less. But the pain will still be there, but it'll be less for a certain amount of time. So there was certain stretches that they had back then that might help with relieving back pain. So I did those, but it didn't help. But there wasn't really a lot of information on herniated disc and bulging disc. Now there's a lot more information on what you can do to alleviate pain, but back then there wasn't anything. So, and right now with ruptured disc, there's no information on the internet on how to heal from ruptured disc or how to heal from multiple herniated disc or severe scoliosis without doctor's treatment. You know, there's not a lot of information on that. So making this video. So couldn't find anything. Didn't want to give up hope. I always believed that I could get better. I always believed it. I never thought I was going to be a cripple for the rest of my life. I was a cripple. I didn't want to be a cripple for the rest of my life. I thought that would be very sad. It was very, very hard on me. There's a lot of things I couldn't do. I couldn't go out with my friends when I wanted to. I'm not a very outgoing person, but I couldn't go out when I wanted to. My back hurt me too much. Couldn't stand up for more than like 5 to 10 minutes. Had to sit down all the time. Couldn't sit down properly. Was always fidgeting because my back hurt me so much and everything like that. So just a lot of pain that I dealt with for years, and there was pretty much no hope or anything. And then I met a guy named Tony, this big Bahamian guy from the Bahamas, and I met him at a party at my uncle's house in Miami. And he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, do you work out?" And I go, "No." And he goes, "Why don't you work out?" And I said, I said I tried working out, but I stopped a little bit a while ago." And he goes, "How come you don't work out?" And I go, "Well, I'm injured." And I was like, "My injury hurts me too much." And he goes, "Have you tried working out your injury slowly by slowly?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "It doesn't work." And I tried going to the gym before. I didn't mention this. I tried for years going to the gym, doing different back exercises. Tried it. Didn't work at all. I couldn't control any of the weight that I was lifting. It just hurt me even more. Couldn't control any of the weight. Just hurt me. Yeah, so it just didn't do anything for me. Even if I lifted very, very light weight, I couldn't control it. Couldn't control the weight. So tried working out for years, didn't work. So I told him that, and I told him I was just too injured to work out. And he goes, "What's your injury?" And I told him, I said, "I have 3 ruptured discs. I have 1 ruptured disc." So back then I had 1 ruptured disc in my neck, 1 in my lower back, and 1 in the middle of my back. So I had 3 ruptured discs, 1 in my neck, 1 in the middle of my back, and 1 in my lower back. And then I had herniated disc and bulging disc all throughout my spine. And then I had severe scoliosis from my neck all the way down to the top of my butt, all the way down to my butt. I had severe scoliosis. So I told him that, and he started crying, He started tearing up. He's like, "Wow, man, you seem like such a good guy, and you're so young." And he's like, and I was about 20 years old at the time, so I was living with that injury for about 6 years. So yeah, he's like, "Wow, you're so young, and he's like, "You seem like such a good guy." He's like, "That's terrible." And he was tearing up, And when the doctor told me my injury when I was 14, he was tearing up. He was tearing up because he knew my life was over. And he knew I was a football player and a soccer player and a swimmer and everything, and he was tearing up when he told me the doctor. But yeah, this guy Tony told me he was tearing up, and he's like, "Wow, And he goes, "I'm a physical trainer," and he goes, "I work with Olympic athletes," and he says, "I help Olympic athletes get better when they're injured," and he goes, "I've helped Olympic athletes heal." He goes, "I've helped people heal from like 1 or 2 herniated discs." He goes, "I know you have multiple," and he goes, "I know you have bulging discs too," and he goes, "I know you have ruptured discs," but he goes, what do you have to lose?" And I go, "Yeah, I have nothing to lose." I let him finish talking, and I was like, "Tell me what I can do to maybe heal, and I'll do it." So this guy, hold on, wait for this helicopter to go over. So this is wrapping up about how I healed up and everything like that. So this is wrapping up the story. So he told me to get something called the ab lounger, which is like a suspended chair. So it's like this. It's like a chair, but it's suspended in the air. And he told me to do about 100 sit-ups on it a day. And he told me to do 100 sit-ups on it a day or every other day. And he said the reason why me working out at the gym wasn't helping my back, he said because I needed a starting point for my back. And he said I needed to first get the electricity pumping back into my spine. That's what he told me. This is his exact words. He told me I needed to get the electricity pumping back into my spine before I could go to the gym and start slowly working out my back. So he told me to get the ab lounger, do about 100 sit-ups on it a day or every other day. And he said every time I go back on the ab lounger, my back is going to pop. My back is going to completely pop. He said anyone you don't trust or anyone you don't feel comfortable around, don't don't do the ab lounger around them, because he said they're going to freak out when they hear your back pop. He said they're going to tell you to stop. He said don't do it around any doctors. Don't do it around any of that. And he was right. And he was right. And he said do the ab lounger 100 times every other day or every day. And he said after you do that for about a year, he said, he goes, you don't feel like working out right now, right? And he goes, you don't feel like doing anything physical. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm too injured. And he goes, at the end of the year, of doing the ab lounger, you're going to feel like working out. He said there's going to be a light bulb in your head that's just going to tell you want to work out. He's like, because you are an active young person, you're an active person. He's like, you want to do things. He's like, at the end of the year, there's going to be a light bulb in your head that you want to work out. And he's like, that's when you get your gym membership. And he's like, once you get your gym membership, he goes, you only do back workouts. He's like, you only do back workouts. He goes, you don't work out your arms, you don't work out your legs. He goes, you have one of the worst injuries known to mankind. He goes, fuck what everybody has to say. He goes, you only work out your back. And he goes, there's going to be people at the gym that are going to be asking you, why aren't you working out your arms? Why aren't you working out your legs? He goes, just ignore them, stick to the mission, just work out your back. And he goes, when you work out your back, you start on the lowest weight possible. And he goes, you do as many reps as possible, and then you do sets of 3. You do sets of 3 of it. And you start at the lowest weight possible, and you actually have to control the weight. You have to control the weight the whole time. And he said, once you build up that control for that weight, and you're good to move on to the next weight, then that's when you move on to the next weight. So that's what I did. And here's the story. I did the ab lounger for a year. And he said after that, your back should maybe get better. He said it might get better. He never helped people with ruptured disc, but... So I did the ab lounger for about a year. My back would pop on it all the time. It would go psh, 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 every time I did it. And did it for about a year. I could say my back was a tiny bit better. It was still unbelievable destroyed, but it alleviated the pain just a nick. The amount of pain I had was unbelievable still, but just relieved the pain just a nick. And then about a year of doing the ab lounger, it clicked in my head. I was like, you know what? I should go to the gym. I was like, wow, he's right. It clicked in my head. So I got a gym. So I started scouting gyms to see which gyms had the best back machines. And I scouted all the gyms in my area, saw which ones had the best back machines, and I signed up for that gym. Now, the first back machine that I started working out on was one that was like a chair, like this. It was one that was like a chair like that. And I started off on the lowest weight possible. And for about a month, I was able to control it and everything. So when I was going to the gym years ago, before I did the ab lounger, I wasn't able to control the lowest weight possible. It would just be all crazy and everything. Now I was able to control the lowest weight possible, and I could actually feel the tension, like working out on my muscles and my tendons and everything. So after about doing a month of that, I moved up the weight from 25 to 50 pounds. After about a month of that, I moved up from 50 pounds to 75 pounds. This stupid fucking goose, I can't stand it. And anyways, moved up to 75 pounds. When I reached about 75 pounds, it was about 3 or 4 months of doing that back workout. And I realized my back was just getting a tiny bit better. But I didn't want to believe it. My lower back was getting a tiny bit better, but I didn't want to believe it because it hurt me for so long, and it was still in a great amount of pain, but it just felt a little different. It felt a little bit better, felt a little different. So, and I was never able to work out like this before. So, kept going to the gym. About 3 more months passed by, and I'm at 140 pounds, 150 pounds, repping 150 pounds on that machine. And just to tell you, at the gym, after I was done working out my back and everything like that, I would go and stretch. I would go and stretch on the little rollies. I would roll my back on the little rolly things. I would do back stretches and everything. I would stretch for about 30 to 45 minutes, and then I would work out, and then I would stretch again for about 30 to 40 minutes. So I would do that. Then at about 140, 150 pounds, about 6 months of working out my lower back, I fucking hate these geese. I hate these geese. These geese are the worst. Anyways, back to the story. Um, I'm sorry I screamed right there. I can't stand these geese. Anyways, so after about reaching 140, 150 pounds of working out on these machines, um, my back started to get better. My back started to get better, and let me move inside. I can't stand. I can't stand these geese. So my back started to get better, and what started to happen was my back started to heal. So so I after I would work, this would only happen about after the days I would work out. So after days I would put in like a hard workout with my back, about that night or the day after, I would get these crazy amounts of pain, just unsurmountable amount of pain that would just shoot through my body. And the guy that helped me heal my back, Tony, he said that this would be my back healing, and he said everything is dead in my back. So he said everything's gonna grow back to normal again, and everything's gonna heal again. And he said it's gonna be 10 times worse the pain that you felt with your back. Now, when I was healing, um, I felt this pain, and there was times when I would pass out from the pain. That's how bad the pain was. That's how bad the pain was. And one night when that pain hit me, I passed out. Passed out. Sometimes I would pass out on the floor. But when that pain would hit me, it would be a rush of pain. I would try and go to my bed as fast as possible and lay down there, because otherwise I would pass out on the floor. And and um, and I would cry. I would be in tears crying from this pain. And one day I woke up after, and this was when I was repping 180 pounds with the machine on my back. I woke up and the pain was completely gone. Pain was completely gone. And I'll just say this, by the time I was at like 150 pounds on the back machine, my back was cracking sporadically. It was just cracking when I got up from a chair. It would crack when I would get up in the morning. It would crack if I put a little bit of pressure on it. It would crack if I got up, like I said, from sitting down. It would crack if I twisted a little. It was just cracking sporadically, from the time I got to about 140 pounds, which was amazing because my back didn't crack the entire time that I was injured. The entire time that I was injured, with ruptured disc, herniated disc, and bulging disc and scoliosis, my spine, my back, it never cracked once. So now my lower back was cracking again, and I woke up and the pain was completely gone. I remember I woke up, I was in tears, I was crying. It was unbelievable. The doctors told me I would never heal from this. Unbelievable. It was a miracle. I thought it was an act of God, um, because no one ever in the world healed from this before, from ruptured disc. I saw videos of people with ruptured discs that were military videos of people being blown up and them having ruptured discs and them getting their spine fused together, and they got like wobbly legs or in wheelchairs. And meanwhile, I have a ruptured disc and now it's completely healed. So after the pain in my lower back was gone, then I realized I had the pain in the middle of my back and my neck too. And I felt the pain in the middle of my back and my neck. So then I started doing cable workouts. Different cable workouts for my back. Um, so for the middle part of my back, and started doing dumbbell workouts, shoulder workouts. And after about 8 months of that, the middle part of my back healed. then it was onto my neck. And it was the same thing. I would get those rushes of pain. I would have to go to my bed. I would fall asleep on the floor. It was crazy. And then it was my neck. And from my neck, yeah, I just did cable workouts. And I started at the lowest weight. And moved all the way up. And also something I did for the middle part of my back was I would get a weight, and I'd be on that little workout thing that is like flat like this, and your body leans over it like that, and I would go like this, and I would do like that on it, and I would also do side ones like this, and I'd do side ones like that, and that would help out my back, and especially the cables. Now for my neck, I would put the weight on my head, and I'd lay down on the bench, and I do neck curls. And I put the weight on the back of my head, and I do neck curls. And then also, since I built up my arms and my shoulders and everything, I started to do pull-ups. And I started out one pull-up, and then I was able eventually to do about 30 perfect pull-ups in a row. I was able to do 30 perfect pull-ups in a row. After about 8-9 months of doing pull-ups and neck curls and shoulder workouts and back workouts, I was able to do about 30 pull-ups in a row. So at that point, I was completely healed. Completely healed. I went from a complete cripple that couldn't do anything, that would fall down constantly because his legs would give out. You know, when you have a bad spine, you get bad everything. You get bad arms, bad legs, bad everything. You know. So I worked up everything, and I got everything back together again. But after I worked out my back, I worked out everything else. Started working out my legs, my arms, my hips, everything. And I started running again, And I completely healed around the time I was 24. So I lived about 10 years with the injury. I healed around the time I was 24. And then I realized that I was healthy enough to go into the Army. So I signed up for the Army around like 25, 26. And I didn't get accepted till I was 28. But yeah, I was in less physical shape when I went into the Army due to some things that were happening in my life and around the house and everything like that. I wasn't in the best physical shape. I wasn't in the best condition. There was a lot of things that happened. But when I went into the Army, but I was in good physical shape when I went into the Army. And when I was in the Army, I was in good physical shape. My injury that I sustained in the Army has nothing to do with my back. And it also is a injury that happens a lot with mortarmen, with infantry mortarmen. The injury that I received is an injury that a lot of mortarmen receive from lifting heavy weights all the time, from lifting heavy things all the time and everything like that, and also the pressure from the mortar tubes and everything like that. So yeah, which I got a hip injury in the Army that I got medically discharged for, which was a serious hip injury. I have about 2 or 3 tears in my hip. So, but that's a different story. But I was successful in the Army. I did really good in the Army. Got hurt around my 3rd year in the Army. But like I said, it had nothing to do with my injury. But yeah, but a huge comeback story. Had multiple ruptured discs, multiple herniated discs, multiple bulging discs, herniated discs, 3 ruptured discs, scoliosis, and I recovered from it. So this is not medical advice for anyone to follow. It's not medical advice for anyone to follow. And once I was, look, my neck will probably crack now. Oh no. Oh yeah, it just cracked right there. So once my neck and my spine started healing and everything, it started cracking again. Everything started cracking again pretty easily. And I have no pain. Right now, today, I have no pain in my back. None whatsoever. I have no pain in my back. Haven't had pain in my back since the time I was around 24. So, yeah, I'm just a normal guy now. If I can do it, anyone can do it. The process was so simple of doing this. You get the ab lounger, do it for a year, do 100 sit-ups on it, get a suspended chair, do suspended sit-ups on it for a year, do 100 every other day, go to the gym, start off on the lightest weight possible, and only do back workouts. Only do back workouts. If you see the weight machine in the gym, if you have a lower back problem, lower back injury, and you see the machine in the gym where you sit on it, the one that helped my lower back was a machine where you sit on it and you push backwards. You sit on it and you push backwards. And then the weight you control with your lower back. That was the machine that really helped me with my lower back. If you have lower back problems, that machine is a diamond mine. It's not a gold mine, it's a diamond mine. That machine will help you so much. You do that, plus roll your back and do as many reps as you can for as long as you can. I would sit on that machine for hours. I didn't care what it took. I didn't care what it takes. I wanted to do anything and everything possible that was outside the books. I didn't want to listen to anybody. I wanted to heal my back. And that's what I did. I healed my back. And the only person I listened to was one person. And meanwhile, when I would go to the gym, the people at the gym would be like, why do you come here for years and you only work out your back? Why don't you work out your arms? Why don't you work out your legs? Why don't you do this? Meanwhile, after about almost 2 years of working out my back, only my back, almost 2 years of working out my back, then I started working out my legs. Once my back healed, I started working out my legs, started working out my arms. I started running. Then I was running 6 miles. I was running 6 miles every other day. So who is someone to tell me what to do? When I'm injured like that, that's not gonna help me. So yeah. So just throwing that out there. I completely healed. Anyone can heal. This isn't medical advice for anyone to follow. This is just what I did to heal. This is just a video to help people who have ruptured discs, herniated discs, scoliosis, and bulging discs, and they don't know what to do. You can heal naturally. You can. It's a process. It's a very simple process. It's hard to do because it takes consistency. It takes consistency. You have to stick with it. And if you stick with it, your back can heal. Your back can heal from anything. So sometime in the future, I'm going to work on healing my hip. If my back can heal, I'm sure my hip can heal. So my hip hurts pretty bad. Nowhere near where my back would hurt, but my hip hurts pretty bad. Like I said, I have 2 to 3 tears in my hip. I have 2 tears that they know about, and they said there could possibly be one more tear that they can't see that's possibly in there. So yeah, and they said surgery on my hip probably won't help it. It could help it, it might not, so I'm not going to get the surgery. So sometimes surgery will help you, but sometimes it won't. So if I would have got that fusion, the spinal fusion back in the day, who knows if I would have ever healed. I still might have, but who knows. But that's my story. Oh yeah, I did take the pain medication back in the day, but I only took it for 1 week. And after I took the pain medication for 1 week, I threw out the pain medication. Threw it out. So the only thing that I've used to help me deal with the pain with my back has been marijuana. And I have my medical marijuana card right now also that just helps me deal with different things and anxiety and different things like that. So yeah, marijuana did help me deal with the pain, but that was about it. Didn't take any painkillers, not in the drugs, not a drug user. So I don't drink that much. I have maybe 2 beers a year, maybe 4 beers a year, nothing more than that. So that's my story. If I can do it, you can do it. And I want you to do it. I don't want you to feel like there's no hope out there. I don't want you to feel like There's no one in the world for you. I don't want you to give up hope. I don't want you to feel like a cripple. I don't want you to feel like you're useless. I don't want you to feel like you don't know who you are. I want you to know who you are. I want you to know who you've been. I want you to know who you're going to be in the future. I want you to be the person that you want to be. I want you to dream about the person that you want to be, and I want you to be that person. I don't want you to be held back by any injury or anything like that. So if you're thinking about getting surgery, or if you're thinking about getting epidural shots, they wanted to give me epidural shots. If you're thinking about getting surgery, if you don't know what to do with the pain, watch this video. Might help you out. Stay stretching your back. Stay stretching your back. Get a rolly thing. Roll your back on that. Yeah. And do the workouts, and your back could heal, you know. So that's it. I'm signing out. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.